There we go. Let's begin again. Good morning. My name is Sunny Sachdeva, and I'm the practice lead for enterprise networking at Red River. I have been working in the IT field for the past 20 years or so, and I currently hold a dual CCIE and routing, switching, and data center. And I also have a few certifications from AWS and VMware as well. I'm joined today by Chris Blaney from Cisco, who will be speaking to us about the benefits of SD-WAN. So I know many of you may be here today because your organizations are undergoing a digital transformation where your applications are moving to the cloud and your users are working remotely. And somehow you need to securely connect them all. Now, certainly you would benefit from attending our presentation today regarding Red River's managed SD-WAN. Now, if you solve this, you would find that you will have a more agile organization and a higher user satisfaction rate. If this remains unsolved for you, then you would need to deal with a lot of customer support calls, complicated designs, and frequent outages. Ultimately, what you probably want is a straightforward solution that will securely connect your users with their applications wherever they may reside. So this is why I want to talk to you today about Red River's managed SD-WAN. But before I begin, please let me introduce Chris Blaney from Cisco, who will be speaking to us about the benefits of it.
Thanks, Sunny. Hi, my name is Chris Blaney. I am the SD-WAN practice lead for our state and local government business here at Cisco. I'm really happy to be on the call with you today. I think it's a great way to start a conversation like this with an understanding of why you should adopt SD-WAN. I think just as important as why SD-WAN became a business and why other customers are adopting SD-WAN. The business is really driven by application transformation, right? And cloud adoption. Your applications are moving to the cloud, whether you want them to or not. The first instances of that we saw were largely driven by DevOps in infrastructure as a service platforms like Amazon, Google, and several others. But also the mass migration to SaaS applications. Think in the CRM world with applications like Salesforce, and for email, and later for file sharing, any number of other services, the mass migration to Office 365. Go ahead and move on to the next one, Sunny.
Sure.
So ultimately what happens when your applications start to become distributed, right? They move out to these various cloud providers away from your data center, where the network is typically pretty simple, right? When you're hosting applications in your data center, all you need to do is provide secure connectivity from your sites back to your data center. You know what the applications are. They're all well-defined. It's pretty easy to manage network services in that environment. But once your applications move out of that data center, and now you've got apps in your data center. You've got apps on infrastructure as a service platforms. You've got apps sitting out with software providers like Office 365, as we mentioned. You lose that agility, right? It becomes very complicated to provide secure network services, which, as Sunny mentioned, the core here is to get application access from where the application is hosted to your users. That becomes very difficult in this new distributed cloud world. And ultimately, your organization needs to become more agile, right? You've got more demands coming in from your branches, agencies, and departments for new services than you ever have before. And by and large, those services are more robust, more media rich, and more diverse than they've ever been before. You've got more application types. You've got more data types that all have different requirements for a positive user experience, whether it's the amount of latency that they can tolerate, the amount of jitter that they can tolerate, the amount of throughput that they may or may not need. So ultimately, what you need is a WAN that can manage access to those applications regardless of where they're hosted and regardless what type of the application is, and serve up that data wherever your users are. Go ahead and hit the next one, Sunny. To do that, when I describe this to customers, they automatically think it means more complexity. And architecturally, that's true. You're going from this model where you're tunneling all your traffic back to a data center to a model where you're tunneling data back to your data center, you're tunneling data to the general internet for internet application consumption, you're tunneling data to Microsoft for Office 365, you're tunneling data to AWS where you may be hosting some tier 1 business applications, you may be tunneling some data to Azure generally, you may be using Oracle for platform as a service. Ultimately, you need to be able to manage that access holistically. So like in any other digital transformation, you need centralization and you need automation, right? So what SD-WAN will provide you is that centralized policy intent-based orchestration platform where you can manage and visualize all of your WAN services centrally, and you can provide all those security services from that same platform as well. Go ahead and go to the next one, Sunny. You need to make sure your environment is secure, right? So when I open up your branch sites to internet connectivity, and I'm tunneling something out to the general internet, I'm persisting a connection via SSL out to Office 365, and I'm going direct out to AWS, I'm increasing your threat plane, right? I'm increasing the number of access points in your network to the internet. You have got to be able to secure that. SD-WAN enables that. Everything in SD-WAN is encrypted, right, by design. Use IPsec-based encryption. It's FIPS 140-2 certified, which gives you assurance that the encryption you're using meets federal standards, but most importantly, is able to secure your data. And then from a security services perspective, the Cisco SD-WAN solution includes a full stack of security services that you can layer throughout the network to most effectively protect your data, regardless of what the application is, where it's hosted, and where that user is at. Go ahead, Sonny. So, finally, SD-WAN became a business very simply because it was driving return on investment for large commercial banks who were internationally distributed. They were spending tons of money on MPLS circuits. Well, just like you, the demands for digital services coming in from the branches was increasing exponentially. So the demand for additional bandwidth was increasing as well. So their MPLS bills were going up exponentially. So what they decided was, hey, let's partner with a couple companies that are developing a supportable SD-WAN platform. So not open source without some sort of management solution, right? But an actual commercialized offering that has support. Let's work with one of these companies and see if we can figure out how to add this additional bandwidth much more cost effectively. And what they discovered was we can use internet, right? Internet circuits that typically cost a tenth of what those MPLS circuits cost. We can get the additional throughput we need, which is going to allow us to generate more revenue into our business. And typically what they found was an ROI return somewhere between 8 and 14 months. That is something that no IT executive can ignore. You stack on top of that all the services and simplification that you can deliver to deal with the complexity of distributed applications. And SD-WAN becomes a priority for most enterprises, and most of the folks evaluating the IT market as a whole think that most IT executives are going to make decisions about SD-WAN within the next 24 to 36 months. I imagine most of you are thinking about it, and you're probably getting hit up about SD-WAN from multiple angles. I'm here to tell you it's important, and it can help you more effectively manage access to those applications securely, regardless of where they're at and where your users are at. I'll hand it back over to Sunny. Thanks again for the time, and I'll hang on for questions, and I'll monitor your Q&A here as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Right. So for those of you who are new to Red River, just wanted to kind of just really briefly just talk about Red River for a moment. So we are 600 plus employees who have been in the business for more than 25 years. We've been growing at an incredible rate, 20%. In fact, just this year, even during the COVID, we have hired more than 150 employees. We have field offices throughout the U.S., and we have 3 network operations centers in the States, which are 24/7 by 365. As far as our partnership with Cisco, we've been partners with Cisco since 1998. We are a gold direct partner. Some certifications I'd like to just point out really quickly is our master collaboration. We are a master collaboration partner. We are a master security partner. We are also working right now on the master networking partner as well. And towards the bottom left, you will see something that I want to kind of just accentuate is the customer service excellence, the 21 straight reporting periods for 11 years, which is great service. Regarding our managed services, we provide tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and SME level engineering, service desk, and advisory services. We have dedicated and shared staffing model, which I'll speak to a little bit in more detail towards the end. Regarding our tools, reporting, and automation, so we have, the traditional managed services duties, monitoring, alerting, and reporting, up-down, threshold alerts, capacity management, service application, event management, also patch management, right? So on the OS, for example, third-party applications. In this case, for us, for SD-WAN, we're talking about infrastructure, asset management as well. Okay. And it's not, we don't just do just SD-WAN as a managed service. These are some of the other services that we have as well. So cloud, networking, data center, co-location, backup and disaster recovery, collaboration, UC as a service, identity and mobility, and security as well. So as you can see, we have a full suite of managed services offering this beyond just SD-WAN. So why choose Red River's managed SD-WAN offer? So I think what kind of differentiates us is our three-step process, which begins with assess and then follows on to deploy and manage. And I'll kind of go in each one a little bit in detail right now. So the assess part for us is really important. We're not providing a cookie cutter kind of design to each one of our clients. We really want to begin by listening and learning to what your current state is and what your needs are, right? So our account managers, our solution architect, our design engineering team, which I'm a lead up from a practice network, enterprise networking perspective, we want to sit down with you. We want to have calls with you. We want to understand what is your current state and what are your requirements regarding security, regarding compliance. Is it PCIs, HIPAA, SOX, FedRAMP? What are your business continuity plans, right? So don't just look at SD-WAN as SD-WAN, but look at it holistically as part of your business continuity disaster recovery plans. What happens to your critical applications when they move from, let's say, a data center, your primary data center, towards your backup disaster recovery site, or let's say your backup cloud locations, right? What are your critical applications? Are they hosted locally, or are they hosted in AWS, Azure, GCP, or are they SaaS applications? How can SD-WAN help you optimize connectivity to those SaaS applications or your critical applications? Again, same thing with cloud. With migration, now, we really want to sit down with you to come up with a very detailed migration plan, because depending on the number of sites you have, you may have, you will have a point where you will have certain locations, certain branches, which are on the new SD-WAN infrastructure, and certain branches which are still legacy. How can we ensure that we have connectivity between all sites, all locations? And then we can talk about business agility and operational excellence, some of the benefits that we talked about earlier that Chris mentioned, and ROI as well. So this is really the kind of foundation where we spend quite a bit of time to ensure that we understand we're on the same page regarding what your needs are, so we can ensure that we have the right solution for you that will, we want to get the right outcome for you in the end. Then we have the deployment phase where we begin with, reviewing the current state and reviewing the migration plan that we drew up together. And then in just a high level, we stand up the SD-WAN devices in parallel in new data centers. And then we begin migrating branches. Once all the branches have been migrated to SD-WAN and let's say your private cloud or public cloud sites as well, then we can migrate the data centers completely over to SD-WAN. And at that point, we have a meeting with you and we close the project if you're satisfied. And upon project closure, we can hand off the environment, the SD-WAN environment, to managed services. And managed services, just the traditional managed services duties, which is responding to alerts, events, as needed, calling out to, for example, Cisco if there's a device-related issue, or calling out to circuit providers. Essentially, they're managing steady state, and they can provide minor code upgrades and minor changes as well. One thing I wanted to highlight over here is the way that we do managed services, where we will have a team specifically for you. This is something that I haven't seen in a lot of other companies where I've worked previously. The benefit of this is that at any time, if you need to call our managed services team, you will have one team member from Red River who understands your environment. So you don't have to deal with teaching that person from scratch, hey, this is my environment, these are the issues that I've been through before. You will have a team that knows your environment. So there will be at least one person there that's familiar with your environment. I think that's really great. I think that's that's how we have a high satisfaction rate amongst our customers for our MS offers. So just, what are the overall benefits for the Red River Managed SD-WAN? We can design, procure, deploy, manage. We do all of that under the Red River umbrella. SD-WAN clearly has a lot of benefits for, the majority of folks, I would say, out there. And the benefit the Red River brings for you is that you can essentially adopt SD-WAN, get the benefits of SD-WAN without having to, go through training and, cutovers, etc. All that, lift and shift that you're going to have to do internally. You can go ahead and focus on your business, and you can let us help you with that transition process. Also, just wanted to mention that Red River is one of only a few chosen Cisco SD-WAN managed service partners. It's an invitational process, and we're very thankful for Cisco, to have chosen us. We began this process earlier in the year, and it's been fun going through with COVID, but it's a very thorough process where we kind of worked with Cisco hand in hand, and just glad to bring this to the market, to bring it to you with the help from Cisco. So if you have any questions and concerns, please feel free to ask them right now. If you want to contact us later as well, you can reach out to your local Red River account manager, or you can send an email to connect@redriver.com. Okay, with that, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I can't see them on my screen, so if anybody can just let me know, I can answer those questions.